Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Now that we know that the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan is going to pass the House tomorrow, I was the one who broke that on our channel. We also know that President Biden is expected to sign the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. What is going to happen to the stimulus sequel? Yes, the stimulus sequel is the infrastructure plan, the Build Back Better agenda, which is expected to be well over $3 trillion. The truth is, things are going to get even harder for President Biden because he's going to get a lot of pushback, not only from Republicans, but from progressives within his own party who want some of their items in the next stimulus package. Here's a headline of a Bloomberg article on your screen. Biden's road gets even harder once stimulus clears Squeaker vote. Now, keep in mind that the Senate passed the $1.9 trillion stimulus package with a vote of 54 and 49 against. So every single Republican voted against it. Every single Democrat voted for it. Now, the Democrat that did create some headaches for President Biden and the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was Joe Manchin, the conservative Democrat from West Virginia, who had to be convinced to support the stimulus package when he got what he wanted, which was the curtailing and the further targeting of unemployment benefits and also stimulus checks. Now, here's the big problem for President Biden and the Democrats. If you're going to do a lot of infrastructure spending, who's going to pay for it? Is it the middle class that's going to pay for it? By the way, that's what Congresswoman Liz Cheney from Wyoming said. I'll show you one of her segments in just a minute. But when you're going to do a lot of infrastructure spending on things like climate, on things like healthcare, on things like our roads and bridges, inequality, this is going to cost trillions and trillions of dollars. So again, the question is, where is all the money going to come from? And keep in mind that Republicans are going to oppose tax hikes. They're going to oppose tax hikes for middle income individuals. They're going to oppose tax hikes for corporations. So the big question is, where is all the money going to come from? And how will President Biden be able to pass his next major stimulus package, the stimulus sequel, if you will, the Build Back Better agenda, which is the infrastructure plan? According to reporting by Bloomberg, President Biden has three options. Biden has the same three options as his first stimulus. Go with the Republicans on a bill that is as expansive as moderate Democrats and Senate rules will allow. That's option one. Option two, dramatically scale back ambitions to lure at least 10 Senate Republicans to the package, which, by the way, is a traditional way things are done. Or split the program up and pursue a combination of approaches. In other words, just narrowly focus on infrastructure and then focus on some of the other items that most of the Democrats want. Here's a quote from the Georgia Republican Buddy Carter. Here's what he said. We need an infrastructure package in this country. There's no question about it, but we've got to find out how we're going to pay for it. He said Democrats have so far essentially done one-party bills, partisan bills, and he said it's going to be very difficult given the precedent that has been set thus far by the majority party, specifically the Democrats. And Jim Lucier, who's the managing director of Capital Alpha Partners, warned against a big, bloated infrastructure plan. He said this: a big, sprawling package that includes conventional infrastructure, renewable energy, public health, education, a childcare tax credit, and the like could also collapse under its own weight. He said a bill that starts too large might have to cut back mid-course to avoid crashing. And speaking of something that is very ambitious, the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, you'll see this headline on your screen from the New York Times. It fulfills Biden's promise to expand Obamacare for 2 years. So there are expanded subsidies for health plans under the Affordable Care Act. So this $1.9 trillion package makes health insurance more affordable. And because these benefits expire in 2022, I promise you it's very clear that healthcare is going to be a major factor in the 2022 midterm elections. Here's reporting on your screen from the New York Times. The bill includes a significant, albeit temporary, expansion of subsidies for health insurance purchased under the Act. Under the changes, the significant domestic achievement of the Obama administration, namely the passage of the Affordable Care Act, will reach middle-income families who have been discouraged from buying health plans on the federal marketplace because they come with higher premiums and little to no help from the government. Now, more families making more money will get federal subsidies. Now, keep in mind the changes only last for 2 years, but for some they will be considerable. Again, according to reporting from the New York Times, the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, estimated that a 64-year-old earning $58,000 a year would see monthly insurance premium payments decline from $1,075 under the current law down to $412 because the federal government would chip in for the remainder of the premium. The rescue plan, the American Rescue Plan, also provides new incentives to certain states that were resisting the expansion of Medicaid. Now, when I say certain states, I'm referring to Texas, Georgia, and Florida. So these states were resisting the expansion to Medicaid, but now these states are incentivized to finally expand Medicaid to individuals who make more money, too much money to qualify for Medicaid, but not enough money to be able to afford private health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. So by providing more federal subsidies, the federal government is trying to encourage states like Texas, Georgia, and Florida and say, hey, let's expand Medicaid so we can help those individuals who essentially were left behind with the original version of the Affordable Care Act. Now, as you can imagine, Republicans are very concerned about this. Let's take a look at Congresswoman Liz Cheney from Wyoming, who is in quite an interesting situation in the House of Representatives because she supported the impeachment of former President Trump, and she and former President Trump are not best friends. This is what Congresswoman Cheney said. She said this is non-targeted, the bill, and she said it includes a lot of non-temporary provisions. In other words, it includes permanent provisions, and this will lead to middle-class tax increases. Let's listen to concerns from Congresswoman Liz Cheney from Wyoming. Let's watch.
Package. We know that the result of that package is going to be middle-class tax increases. We know for sure that it includes provisions that are not targeted, they're not temporary, they're not related to COVID, and it didn't have to be this way. We could have had a bill that was, a fraction of the cost of this one that could have gotten bipartisan approval and support, but the Speaker decided to go in another direction. And so we are going to be saddled with a burden, spending burden, and a tax burden that is really indefensible from the perspective of what it actually accomplishes.
In the next segment, let's hear from Steve Scalise, Congressman Steve Scalise, a Republican congressman, who says Speaker Pelosi took advantage of the crisis to fill the bill with non-COVID items. Let's watch.
What in the bill is COVID related and what is a broader policy that should be discussed separately? And I think a lot of people have a concern that Speaker Pelosi took advantage of the crisis to fill the bill with primarily things that have nothing to do with COVID that should have been discussed separately. And again, our focus from the very beginning was let's help families who are struggling with a targeted relief bill, not just sending everybody a check all across America, but to help the families who are struggling, as opposed to saying if somebody is maybe making more money than they were a year ago, they're going to also get a check. The other thing is there are millions of small businesses that have already closed, and it is devastating to see what some of these governors did to make it harder for small businesses to stay afloat, while there were states like Florida and Texas who kept things open and had different results. It's a shame that in this bill they actually penalized the states who had more success keeping their economies going and helping the healthcare needs of their families, while rewarding states like California and New York, who are the biggest winners in this bill, just giving them billions of dollars. California's announced over a $10 billion surplus, yet they're going to get more than $40 billion of money that's borrowed from our children in this bill. So what does any of that have to do with COVID? And I think that's the biggest frustration. 90% of this bill has nothing to do with COVID. Whether it's a good idea or not needs to be debated independently. Don't take advantage of a crisis to try to ram through a socialist.
Are you concerned?
So that's it, everyone. The uphill battle, the obstacles, the major obstacles to the stimulus sequel, the next major stimulus plan, the infrastructure plan. Look, folks, I understand our viewers, and for our viewers and subscribers, all you care about is being able to put food on the table, being able to pay rent, being able to keep the lights on. I get it. I understand that. But the next infrastructure plan is very important for the economic recovery of our country. And I think we are heading towards a collision course, if you will, between the Republicans and the Democrats, not about how it's done, but who pays for it, if you pay attention closely, and also about targeting of all of this money. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would really appreciate that. Please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would be awesome. I assure you, Congresswoman Cheney, she clicks the like button when she watches our channel, and Steve Scalise also clicks the like button. He also subscribes and enables notifications. I would really appreciate it if you do that as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.